Okay, today is Sunday, November 10th, and today I learned something that I think I've talked about before in a previous video, but I was kind of just reminded of it, and I don't know, I kind of wanted to maybe think about and kind of just talk out loud the benefits of it, because a while ago, maybe a couple months ago, I basically worked out every day of the week, but what that did was it made me not enjoy working out anymore, and it was just very draining. But then I started just taking 2 days a week of just pure you're not allowed to work out, and I don't know, it really helped. It really helped my mental state in terms of enjoying working out and that kind of thing. It helped my physical state because my muscles had more rest to be more recharged. And today I kind of experienced the same thing in a way because today it was a little rainy, and usually on Sundays I go to the fields with my dad, but because it was raining I couldn't do that. But I was very that means I'm not going to get anything done today kind of mindset, because I don't know, I just felt useless because I didn't go to the field today. But literally it's fine, it's not really that deep. Taking one more rest day out of the week in the grand scheme of things, this is the first Sunday that I've taken off in a while, so it's really not that deep. And literally something I was thinking about on Friday, I think it was, is that missing a workout or not feeling good one day, having a bad day, missing something, you're not going to think about that in the next 5 years. It's so minuscule, and it honestly doesn't really make a difference. Yes, you need consistency, and consistency is one of the most important things you can do if you want to succeed at something. But if you just once in a while, not every week, not every day, but once in a while, if you take off, probably more often than you think, it's fine to do that, I guess. The thing is, okay, there are two mindsets that you can have, and I think both are good when you're trying to succeed at something. One mindset is to be more chill about it, kind of what I'm talking about, just take your rest days, take an extra rest day if necessary. If you're really drained, if you really can't do this thing, then take an extra rest day. But then there's also the mindset of give it your all, 110%, all effort, push to failure, that kind of mindset. And those are very opposing mindsets, but they kind of achieve the same thing. I do think that the latter mindset, just putting it going 110% every day, every time, would probably result in more and faster improvements and faster development. But if you want it to be sustainable, then you have to be taking those breaks, and you have to be taking your rest days. So I think how we can apply this is to, first of all, I think whenever you're working out, just for physical working out, I think it's good to have at least one rest day within your routine. So that's just a smaller thing. But also when you are doing the thing, when you're doing the thing that you want to be doing, improving at something, or working out, or working on some project, give it your all, give it your 110%. That's what I'm struggling with right now. I'm trying to let the rest day mentality leak into my actual workouts, which is making me do less reps and less pushing, which is not really how working out works. So when you're doing the action, when you're doing the thing, have that 110% mindset, have that push to failure mindset, because that's how you can ultimately get all those fast improvements. But on when you zoom out, and when you're structuring your routine, and when you look at the big picture of things, make sure you still have the mindset of having rest days, and making sure that you're still keeping it sustainable. Because if you have the 110% mindset, if you have that mindset through every aspect of your life, then your life will not end up well. You'll be burnt out. So you need to switch back and forth between these mindsets depending on what you're doing. So if you're actually doing the actions, like when I work out, when I'm like eating, when I'm doing school, when I'm studying, that's when I give it my all, and that's when I really lock in. But when I look at like my schedule, when I look at my daily schedule, when I look at my weekly schedule, when I zoom out, that's when you need to incorporate those breaks. Like that's why I have 15-minute breaks in between every block of my, like in my daily schedule. I have minimum one rest day every week where I just don't do any physical activity. So you need to be able to switch back and forth between these two mindsets. And sometimes you may realize that you need to switch into the next mindset prematurely. Like today, I thought that I was going to have to switch into the 110% mindset when I got to the field. But it started raining, so I never switched into that mindset. It's like a cycle, right? We're constantly switching to the next mindset. I'm going to draw this out. Okay, so I just made this very minimal drawing, but you're constantly switching between going from 110% to resting, to 110% to resting. The 110% part is in the micro, like the actual actions you're doing. But the rest part is in the macro. Like when you zoom out and you're doing your schedule and you're doing your daily routine, that is in the macro. And that's when you are resting. This is actually an interesting concept. So I think when you are building this cycle of just going from the rest mindset to the failure mindset, from the rest mindset to the failure mindset, from the rest like you're in that loop, in that cycle, you have to be able to, first of all, know like when are you going to transition into the next phase of your cycle, and be able to kind of build that up. Because like when I'm in a rest mindset, when I'm like wasting time being lazy, but then I realize I have to work out, it's very hard to go straight from like doom scrolling to pushing myself very, very hard to my workout. So you have to transition yourself into the next mindset, right? And then after a workout, it's very hard to just chill. Like after I work out, I have lots of energy still, and it's hard to just like chill. So you have to create these little rituals, these little transition rituals to transition into the next phase. So you need to be able to build these transition rituals or routines. So this is the final drawing, right? We have the rest mindset, and that's on the macro. When you're figuring out your schedule, your weekly schedule, your daily schedule, whatever, you need to incorporate rest, and you need to make sure that you're not filling up your daily schedule up to the brim with no breaks, no nothing, just like one thing after the other. And then we have some kind of transition ritual to build us up for when we have those things in the schedule where we need to be 110%, such as a workout or such as a deep work session. We need to be able to have some kind of transition ritual to like ramp us up into that. And then once we're in this 110% mindset, that's in the micro, like when we're actually doing the deep work, when we're actually working out, we need to be pushing to failure, and we need to be pushing as hard as we can, trying to make as much like valuable improvements as fast as possible. And then we have another transition phase back into the resting phase. So you need to have another, like a secondary transition ritual to get back into your rest mindset. So how can we form these transition rituals, right? I think for cooling down, it's kind of like a warm up and a cool down, right? For cooling down, there are a few kind of different mediums to this, because like the different things that you're doing, like you're either going to be using your brain a lot, pushing your brain a lot, or pushing your muscles a lot, or pushing your soul a lot. So there are different kinds of transition, like there are different kinds of rituals, there are different kinds of things you're doing. So you need to have a different transition phase for each of those different kinds of things you're doing. I think that made sense. So first let's talk about when you are trying to focus, right? When you're trying to stress your brain in some way, have some deep work session. How can you transition into that? I actually talked about this in a video a couple of days ago, or maybe a week ago. I'll link it in the description, and I'll have it at the end of this video. But basically, slowly build up the tasks you need to do. Like a couple days ago, I had to do a bunch of homework, but I was getting very overwhelmed, so I just started with a smaller task, and I slowly ramped up the challenge and slowly increased my mental state in order to reach that big task. So when you need to have some kind of deep work session and like push your brain, slowly ramp that up. Start small and slowly ramp up the tasks you're trying to do. When you're trying to cool down after that, like after a long deep work session, you feel very accomplished, right? It feels really good to like finish some big thing. There's a couple things that you can do. You can, first of all, congratulate yourself. Make sure that you are not just going straight to the next thing. Like make sure you recognize what you have completed. Make sure you appreciate that. Maybe give yourself some kind of reward, whether that is intrinsic or extrinsic. And then also another thing that I like to do, this is also helps with like a warm-up, but to just like meditate, I guess, and just you don't need to like close your eyes and like listen to a meditation thing. Like literally just sit there and do nothing for like 3 minutes or like 5 minutes, because it's really very refreshing and it really like resets your mind. And that can be done in both a cool down phase or a warm up phase. So that's what you can do when you're trying to transition between the phases for your mental state. For your physical state, like right before I work out, you need to have a warm up. Like this is something I'm so bad at. If you work out, I feel like most of us have very minimal warm-ups. Maybe that's just me, but I'm just bad at warming up for my workouts. So just make sure you have a good dynamic warm-up. Just like wake up your muscles, do some jumping jacks, like do some very simple, easy movements just to warm up the muscles that you're going to be stressing. And then for a cool down, you need to make sure that you have static stretching. So like dynamic stretching is like stretching with movement, like jumping jacks, and then static stretching is stretching with no movement. So like when you put your legs out and like lean over to stretch your hamstrings, like that's a static stretch. So when you're warming up, you use dynamic stretches, and when you're cooling down, you use static stretching. So when you're cooling down from physical stress, from this 100% failure mindset, you're trying to cool down from that, use static stretching. And also just like get yourself comfortable. Like when I'm done with my workout, I can just chill, right? I can go shower, get cleaned up, put on some comfy clothes, put on some sweatpants and hoodie, and just chill. And that's how I cool down from a workout. I usually don't like sometimes it's useful to like do some kind of mental workout after like a physical workout, because it's actually good for your brain to do that. But if you have nothing else to do during the day, then like a good way to cool down is to just spend some chill time, like some unashamed chill time where you can just kind of, chill. Maybe watch a show or something. So that was how to warm up and cool down for a mental workout, how to warm up and cool down for a physical workout. So now how can you warm up and cool down after like a soul workout? Now let's define that, because I feel like mental, physical, and spiritual is kind of like the 3 aspects of like me of like people, right? Outside of like your personality and like that kind of thing. But those are like the 3 things that you want to be working on. So what is a soul workout? I think for me, what defines a soul workout is something like reading your Bible, going to church. I think those are the 2 main things. So how can you warm up and cool down from that? To warm up, I'm going to use reading your Bible as an example, or actually no, I'm going to use studying your Bible as an example, not just reading, but actually studying and trying to understand it and trying to be like actually dive deep into it and try to pull some understandings and knowledge and application from it. How can you warm up to that kind of soul workout? How can you warm up to reading your Bible? For me, prayer, like just praying and asking that like you will get the knowledge that you need to get, and that you will interpret it correctly, and that it will just be beneficial overall, and that you will have the wisdom to understand what it's saying. So that's how I personally, I find that very helpful for warming up, and also for cooling down. So like after I read my Bible, I will also pray and just like ask that I would apply what I learned and things like that. Another thing that you can do, this is similar to what we did for the mental workout, but just slowly ramping up your study. So I usually don't just immediately start studying and like writing read notes and stuff. I usually like read a proverb first and maybe like a chapter from the Old Testament, and then I get into my actual study. So like slowly building that up if you have the time for that. And then another thing to help with your cool down that kind of just permeates throughout the rest of your day, like to cool down from your soul workout or from reading your Bible, is listening to music. Listening to like Christian music has been one of the most beneficial things that I have ever incorporated into my life. Like genuinely, because music, when we listen to music and we like remember the lyrics and they're just like always in our mind and it's like easy to remember, and you can really listen to music when you're doing anything. So having that music always feeding me good knowledge like throughout the entire day has been one of the most beneficial things ever. So that's kind of how you can cool down from a soul workout and just let it permeate throughout the rest of the day. So I don't know if that made sense, but I guess if you were to take away the conceptual takeaway, I guess, from this video is that we have two phases. We have a rest phase and we have a go hard 110% to failure phase, and you need to be able to transition easily from those two. When you're actually doing something, when you're doing either a mental, physical, or soul workout, you need to be like 110% actually focused and locked in, but then you need to be able to warm up and cool down like between the phases and transition into the next phase, which is like the resting phase, and make sure you're chill, make sure you're just resting either your mind, your soul, or your body, and just making sure that you can keep it sustainable, right? So that is what I learned today. If you found it helpful, then definitely subscribe, because I'm posting every single day talking about what I learned that day and how I'm trying to apply it to my life and how you guys can apply it to yours. So if you want to see that kind of thing, then definitely subscribe. If you found this video helpful, then definitely hit the like button. Comment down below your thoughts and any extra like tidbits that you can add to what I was saying. This video is a video where I talked about more about like the warm-up of trying to transition into a deep work session. So if you want to learn more about that, then that's going to be right here. Subscribe in this corner, like the video. If you subscribe, then I will see you in tomorrow's video. Bye.